Are you good?
I was born ready.
Oh man.
Well, actually, that was on the episode this morning. Was the I was born ready thing?
All right.
Yeah, I think of something else.
Welcome to the Immersive Lens, the podcast exploring the technologies reshaping how we live, work, and learn.
From AI and virtual reality to creative media and design, we are diving into the tools and ideas shaping our connected world.
My name is Paul Engen. Join us as we uncover the people and ideas driving the next wave of interactive experiences.
And I'm Dave Gadoo. This is the Immersive Lens.
So Dave, how are you doing? You looking tan?
Yes, as you recall, I was at the global headquarters Southeast version in Florida for the last week, and actually stepped away from AI for a little bit.
What?
I know.
Is that you can't? You can't do that.
Oh, it's like riding a bike though. I got sucked right back in.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
What'd you do last week?
Nothing much. Played with some tools. Did some 3D printing. You know, I'm
3D printing.
Out.
All right, yeah. All right,
so,
good for you.
It was interesting. I like doing stop motion, so I was looking for 3D rigs for like a character rig, so you can articulate joints and stuff.
Yeah, so you're talking about like Nightmare Before Christmas type stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so I was just trying to do that, and I started doing a print, and it just was all over the place. Wow. And I'll revisit it when I have more time.
Is this for fun?
Oh yeah, I just want to start doing. I haven't done stop motion in a while, other than teaching it. I want to actually do some stop motion for myself. So I'm just in the works of like setting everything up.
Yeah, I really appreciate the like in this, especially like you and I are, bleeding edge technology, and you're like stepping back and saying like, oh, I want to go back like old school and like practice my craft. That's really admirable.
Thank you. I just love the tactile aspects of it. So I think that that's something that I want to visit, maybe a sabbatical in the future. Who knows?
That's awesome.
We'll see. But then I heard the sad news. Did you hear it?
There was a number of sad newses over the last week.
Was.
Which one are you talking about?
One of them was Sora.
That's the video from ChatGPT.
Yeah, where it's all AI. There's no real footage. It's all just AI driven. And they're shutting that down.
Shutting it down. They're shuttering it. Did they say why?
I don't think that they got the traction that they were hoping for. And I think it's one of those things where it was using a lot of resources and not getting much return, because that's a lot of processing of videos.
And they had that social media set up for it too, right?
Right. That's the whole, wow. Yeah.
And you had talked about how Disney had been part of that, right?
Right. And it was because of the social platform, Disney bought into it thinking, they'll invest $1 billion into it or something crazy. And then they pulled it all out because they were shutting the social platform down. So,
oh man,
yeah,
that's a bummer.
So I didn't create much in it, so it didn't hurt.
Yeah, and they're still like, so you can still use Meta. They have video generation, Google VO and Flow and all that stuff, right?
Right. And I think they're still gonna. And I guess I need clarity on this. I thought that the Sora the video model is still going to be available. They're shutting down the social media Sora app. So it's just the app that's being shut down, I believe. But I'll have to look into that. You brought up a good point because they're both Sora, but I'm pretty sure it's a social media app. Okay. How about you? I'm going to look into this while you're giving us some hot takes.
So as you know, I'm an advocate of vibe coding, which is just using AI to code. In fact, at the college, I think we've talked about this on the show before, we have a vibe coding course here at the college. So it's designed to make applications, web pages, things like that without knowing anything about coding. And we think it might be one of the first vibe coding courses for non-majors in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It is. It's really cool. And some of the stuff that they're doing in this class is just blowing me away. It's really a web technologies class. I don't want to get too nerdy about it, but it's really, really fun. If you want to make apps and stuff, you should totally take it in the fall. But the reason I bring this up is because over the last week, Google pushed Stitch, which you have talked about before. That's for making like user interface, user experience type websites and things like that. They've now codified the tech stack. So in the tech stack and nerd speak is the tools that you use in agreement with each other to achieve a final result. So now Stitch is kind of in this tech stack with Google's AI Studio, which is their online tool to create apps. And now they're linking that automatically with Firebase, which is their database. So now you have like Stitch, AI Studio, and Firebase. And quite frankly, like there's nothing you can't make with those three. So it's very, very exciting.
That's interesting. So basically now, rather than having these different things you're logging into, you can go into AI Studio, do your Stitch. Once you pick one, you like it, now you can use it directly in the same framework. So it's more integrated into everything.
Yeah, I don't know if they've made it that seamless quite right now, but that's kind of their plans. That's how I understand it. And this Firebase thing, so having the database, that does happen kind of magically. Like you don't see it. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I haven't used Firebase with any AI. Have you had it? I haven't.
I have. We did that in the vibe coding course, and it kind of sets up all the things automatically, which is good, except usually when you're dealing with databases, you want to be really particular with like what stuff is public, what stuff is private, how do you need to authenticate. So there is some education and learning that needs to be done there, because it will, much like AI, will really get you into that ballpark, but you really got to land the plane yourself.
Gotcha. Got ya.
All right. So clarity on Sora.
So it looks like it's the app, but it might also be I have Sora discontinued. And they refer to the app, but they're not referring to the actual Sora platform. But I assume it's all connected. So I wonder if it is. They're going to shut down the entire video Sora stack. They're not going to do. I bet you it's just going to be integrated into their chat,
much like in Google. Oh, this is another thing that Google. So when you go to Gemini, you can hit the button, create images, and invokes Nano Banana, or create video and it invokes Veo.
Right.
So it's probably going to be more streamlined like that.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's good, because it was always really bothersome to me that I had to go to some whole new website just to generate video.
Yeah. And then it gave you all those watermarks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Google Gemini just integrated their music generation right into Gemini chat as well. So now, in addition to creating an image or video, you can create music, which is like Suno AI. It's awesome.
Yeah, so they're really integrating this is right.
This is what you've been saying.
There are all these little test things, and they're like, oh, okay, now we can integrate it. And I think that the other thing that I want to talk about, we talked about Stitch, and Stitch is basically something where you can say, like, I want an app and I want it to look like this. I want it to be sleek. I want it to be modern. And I was using it a little bit this weekend, and it gives you now color palettes that you can change up, and then it'll redo the color palettes and fonts.
They really amped it up, right?
Yeah. It's interesting because for some reason I will say slick, I will say modern, I will say I want it retro, but I don't know why. Maybe I'm looking at too many of it, but they seem very similar in structure, and they have, like, you can see that there are like some hierarchy things that they always put in there, and you're like, this isn't I want it to be more like, I think you really have to think about how you can break the default template mold. And
my guess is because if they've looked at structures from best practices, I think of like Square website, a lot of them look the same. They have the same structure, so that you would imagine that we're seeing the reflection of that in this. 100%.
And it's interesting because for web students, I say, you always got to do research. I can, with high probability, tell you that most sites will have some type of header or navigation, some type of hero banner. Then you're going to have your secondary tier of information, and then you're going to have footer with copyright and
call to action
or whatever it is.
Form.
And so it's like, it's just, everyone does it.
Yeah.
So it's just like something, like you said, I wonder if that's what they're trained on, but yeah.
Yes, it's just the like regression to the mean. And we're seeing that in other things too. So for instance, a big study was done in college entrance letter, like the personal letters that college.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they're saying, like, you really stand out now if you don't use AI, because all the other ones kind of sound the same.
So now you have to tell your AI to not sound like AI and give incorrect grammar.
Yeah.
But So what I wanted to do is, so that creates the UI. So here is a thought. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Hit me with it.
What if the future is no UI, and no UI is the new UX?
What?
So in the future, think about what would be the need of websites if you could just.
And UI is the user interface. And UX is the experience.
Yes.
And a lot of people kind of conflate those two.
Right. So a lot of times you want a great user experience. So you design your UI, your user interface, to be intuitive. But what if the most intuitive user experience is no UI? So everything is all verbal code, like through verbal discussion. So your website no longer has an interface. It just has hooks for LLMs to come back with something. So, I want to see Paul Engen's video on so-and-so. And rather than taking you to the site, it goes to the site, pulls back something, and then it just shows you the video.
And we've seen kind of ChatGPT is doing that with, say, Canva or other things, but you're saying like the whole operation is going to be flipped on its head.
Right. So there's no more, it's literally it's a prompt or a touch if you're wearing glasses, and everything else is it's just audio. You're talking now. You're going to say, you don't have to go to have a navigation in the traditional sense.
And that's kind of when you go to Google right now, you get the search generative experience. So it will pull that information, and you're saying this is more intentionally designed. So it was exactly that.
Right. And I don't know when this would happen, if it would happen, but it's the logic of, maybe everything is verbal. There's no more looking things up. You're just talking in a prompt, and there's no more need for interfaces.
Yeah, typing is for chumps, man.
Right. You don't need to move files. You don't need to do anything. It's literally it does it all for you in the back end. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I worry about now sites that rely on like ads because they'll never be going to the ads. Although maybe the ad will come back with whatever content they're asking for.
Right. Yeah. It's even more focused.
So no UI, more UX. You heard it here first, folks.
Maybe.
You heard it here first.
Maybe.
Everything you talk about seems to come to fruition.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right.
So then the other thing, which is not great news or good news, is, and it's interesting, but Meta and YouTube lost 2 lawsuits, one in Los Angeles and one in New Mexico. One is for YouTube, and Meta in Los Angeles lost a lawsuit on negligence that they weren't aware of, that they were causing harm to the plaintiff that was suing them. And they found that Meta was 70% negligent and YouTube was 30% negligent. And it was, for them, it's nothing, but it was a $3 million. And I think it sets a precedent.
Yeah. So this is part of the Section 230 conversation, but just to be clear, so Meta it used to be Facebook and now they rebranded Meta.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I know you said this is sad news, and it's not sad news because we're in the corner rooting for Meta or YouTube. It's sad news because people were harmed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That good clarification. Thank you. Well, and then on the other side of this is also Meta got sued for a larger sum. It was a civil lawsuit for $375 million. And this was because it was what was it?
Was it the mental health and the body image?
Yes. So it was a bigger lawsuit on platforms affecting young people's mental health. So they lost that lawsuit too. And so it's interesting because now you're seeing this huge change as far as the whole
the landscape, really.
The landscape, or how social media is being used, and it's like, is this cigarettes? Is this where cigarettes?
This is the cigarettes of the generation. And I'm not surprised by this. The number of lawsuits that Meta has lost or appealed because there's internal memos that are, 3 years saying like, oh, we have to be careful because we're causing body image issues, and they never come to light until like 3 or 4 years later. Like this happens every day. So the fact that Meta still even exists is just baffling to me.
Yeah. And so it's
irresponsible.
I think that this will push more responsibility to those companies.
Good.
But it's interesting because like we talked about this, there's no age gating yet. There's age gating in other countries. They're more diligent about it.
It's coming.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else, or are we ready for our deep dive?
Yeah, let's do a deep dive.
All right. Well, so continuing, this is the last part of our series. We've been talking about frontier models for LLMs, and we talked about OpenAI using ChatGPT, Google with Gemini, and we talked about Claude. And we're gonna do what we're gonna call the frontier model outliers, and these are very popular and these are big platforms, but we don't feel, I think just between you and I, we don't feel they're the top three. I think the top three are the three that we spoke about.
Yes.
Is that sound right as far as these outliers that we're going to talk about today?
Yeah. So when we talk about frontier models, we favor Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini.
Yeah.
But there is Grok. There's Microsoft Copilot, there's Perplexity, there's a few, Meta is out there. And so we'll talk about those. But I do want to say this is not just our opinion, although I think that we're aligned with the world in this one. There's a website you can go to called arena.ai. Mm-hmm. And the way that this website works is it's kind of the Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi blind taste test. You can go there and you can do a new chat and it will serve up 2 different answers and you vote which one you like better. And under the hood, it's different models. And so it could be one response might be from ChatGPT, one might be from Grok, and it will, you get to choose which one is better. So, and then they have these votes, right? Oh. So if you look at the leaderboard, I'm just going to read off the leaderboard for text right now. Claude Opus 4.6, number 1. Claude Opus 4.6, number 2. Gemini 3.1 Pro, number 3. Grok does come in at 4, but Gemini again at 5, ChatGPT at 6, Grok at 7, ChatGPT. And so if you go down this list, and they have different categories. So for code, get a load of this. Numbers 1 through 5 are all different versions of Claude, and then ChatGPT, and then Gemini. So you can go to this website and kind of see at any given time who's on the leaderboard. And I mean, you're looking at the computer with me right now. Right, it is either Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, and occasionally Grok. And then there's like these 1 or 2 kind of like outliers that you don't see.
Right.
So it's not just us. We've been validated by
by Arena.
By arena.ai.
That's really cool. That's a great find. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, it's fascinating. They have different categories for like vision, documents, text to image, image edit, but the results are generally going to be, those big 3 are up there.
And so a few things that I want to say about some of these models is obviously I'm not as familiar as I am with the other models, but I think that these models can be good for whatever tasks you're doing. And I want to jump in with Copilot first because
this is Microsoft's version.
This is Microsoft's AI. I was using it for quite a while on my PC. And I loved it because I was able to just speak to it. It was able to see my screen right away.
Yeah.
It felt nicely integrated when I started using it.
Oh, that's good.
And it did everything I needed to do. I know I've spoken with other people that use like PowerPoint and Excel, and they love the way that Copilot has been integrated into it. And they even find it, and this is somebody who is very Claude, who loves Claude, okay? They said that it works better when they're in PowerPoint than like Claude. And Claude doesn't necessarily have an extension for it.
Yeah.
But they use it and they're like, it just gives me more information. It fills out what I need. It redesigns it. And so they're much happier with Copilot when they're doing that type of stuff.
And the Copilot does have a saving grace. And I the one thing I really appreciate about Copilot, and we have it here. So you are in some ways bound to it if you're a Microsoft house like we are here. But it protects your data lake. So if you have the enterprise version of it, and we do, if you look in the upper right hand corner, it's got like a green shield, which means it doesn't train on our data and it kind of sanitizes it. So theoretically you could put personally identifiable information there. I still wouldn't. And you're kind of guaranteed that the sanctity of that. So that's one thing that I like about it. One thing I don't like about it is, so I was at the NAAIC conference, which is the National Applied AI Conference. And I went to a session from Microsoft, and they're like, when you're in Outlook, you can click here to launch Chat or Copilot. But you can also click here. It's on the same screen. There's two different ones. And they're like, it launches two different models and it will give you two different responses. I was like, no one's asking for this. Like, I want it to be
bad
easy.
Usability.
Speaking of UX. And for a long time, the web versions were not aligned with the desktop versions. So it came into the web ones first, which is nice. So Microsoft's always had this disjointed AI or disjointed experience across the board. And this is just like, yes, okay, history is repeating itself. I see that their AI experience is no less disjointed than the rest of whatever they do.
Now, I will say that one of the things that we alluded to it in the last episode is I was using GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft.
It is now, yes.
And they have Copilot integrated into it. And you can use other models.
Nope.
No?
They just changed that.
They did. Okay.
Let me rephrase that. No, that's not true. For the education they did, and they decreased the limits, and it's made a lot of people mad.
Well, that was the thing is I started setting it up. I was like, this is great. It was building repositories for me. It was doing everything online. I was able to preview it online. I was like, in my head, I was like, this is how Dave works.
It is.
This is how Dave works. But within, I think, my first prompt, and I was using the free version.
Sure.
I was done. I hit the limit, and I can't do anything until April.
Yeah. And so, yes, you can bring in, because you and I both bring in, say, Claude or ChatGPT Codex into GitHub, which is fine. You can't do that. I misspoke. It was the student version. But the free version is not very powerful, and you don't get a lot of Copilot. But
at first, I was like, this is in my head. I was like, maybe I should pay for Copilot, because it was rocking it when I could use it. But then, so I guess what I want to say is I don't want to dismiss Copilot, because Copilot might be that little secret.
The one in GitHub or Copilot in general? Copilot
in general.
I'll say, here's first of all, I'm on AI Arena right now, arena.ai. Microsoft's #1 ranking clocks in at 96 on the list. So their own AI isn't even in the top 50. Okay. New York Times, hard fork, they downgraded it from a frontier model, like it doesn't even count anymore. So they're not regarding it as that. And to be fair, they're not using their own AI for Copilot. A lot of times it's using, I think, like older versions of ChatGPT. I think it's like ChatGPT 4 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think it's fantastic if you are embedded in the Microsoft ecosystem and you're using Excel. I think it's fantastic if you want to protect your data lake. I have not found it to be very helpful, productive, or fun in the work I do.
Right. And it's interesting because here's my take on it. It's the only other platform outside of Google that could do what Google is doing, which is it's got the dispersed applications and it's integrating it. I mean, they are falling way behind, but technically with all of the platforms, their Office platforms, they did Visual Studio Code, right? VS Code is Microsoft and everybody uses that. And so it's just an interesting, they have the potential if they do it.
Yes, they've had potential for 50 years as far as I'm concerned, and they haven't really delivered on their promise.
So I think that's one of the platforms. The other platform that I'm really intrigued about is Perplexity. Mm-hmm. It's a platform that I was just looking into more, and it's very similar to Claude. It's very similar to ChatGPT to me. It has a lot of the same features. It has things that are even similar to OpenClaw, which they call Computer.
Yeah.
And they operate in a sandbox similar to what NVIDIA is starting to do. But I've also heard rumblings that their controversy really is the ethics of how they do web scraping.
Yes. Well, and to be fair, that's probably every company has that ethical issue. Perplexity does do one thing that I really like. They were the first ones to say, like, if you ask me a question, here's the response, and let me bring receipts. And they'll have like all the annotations of where they've gotten stuff from, so it's easier to fact check.
Oh, okay. That's really nice.
Also, it's I believe their model is backed by Gemini and Claude and ChatGPT. So I don't think that they have their own model. Maybe they've been working on one and they might have one now, but for a long time, when you asked a question, it was just using different models to get a response.
Yes, that was my understanding as well, that it was built off of other platforms. And so whether it's, again, I don't know all the nuances of it, but it seems like a decent model. I haven't used it, but it has all the same features as the other models. It's got Comet, which is a web browser.
They were the first one to have the AI-powered web browser too, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I didn't know this, but NVIDIA backs it, is one of their big backers, and so is Jeff Bezos. But ironically, there's a lawsuit with Amazon and Perplexity. So
yeah,
what?
Stuff like that is, we get all sorts of weird like alliances and kind of arguments with all these companies.
So I'm gonna position this with you. I want to get your take on this. So Amazon was blocking the Comet browser because what Comet was doing is it was going through all of Amazon and trying to find the best deals, circumventing Amazon.
Sure.
Now they would still use Amazon, but they would be going through all the content.
So the sponsored deals or maybe some of the Prime deals that are inflated don't surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I saw the CEO speak about this, and what the CEO said is, it's equivalent to you taking a friend to a store and having your friend look up other prices for you and tell you their suggestions and their recommendations versus just going by yourself and taking whatever Target is giving you. Yeah. And I'm just using Target as an example.
Sure.
But
and I think part of the problem is, so I guess I have two thoughts on this. One, that AI should respect websites' wishes. So like if it says don't scrape or don't use Comet or an agential browser, they should respect that. And we're seeing that that's actually a big issue right now for online learning as well, as you can imagine. Like, why not set Comet to open up Brightspace every day, look for the assignments that are due, do the assignments and submit them. So that's an issue. But the other issue is typically you violate the terms of service of websites when you have like all this scraping and this thing going on. So there actually might be some legal ground for Amazon right now, because they're like, you're violating our terms of service by doing this.
Right. And it's interesting because viewing it, so I understand the scraping, but at the same time it's I don't know, I go back and forth about this, because it truly would be equivalent to somebody else kind of like clicking through everything and checking it for you.
Yeah.
But this is how they're saying it's also capturing data and information.
Oh, like ratings or price history.
And so that's what they're saying is the real issue, I believe, is that data.
Yeah, and I think the part of me wants to say like, hey, whatever's best for the consumer is what we should do.
Right.
So it's tough to kind of have a super strong opinion on this, because I kind of see both sides.
Yeah. So Perplexity is definitely something I think I might explore a little bit. I think it's got a lot of interesting elements to it that you can kind of look through it. Definitely go visit it, see if it's something that might interest you. It seems like you can do a lot of similar things to the other platforms. It's got skills. It's got academics. So it really does have it reminds me almost like a web portal. I don't know if you've seen the like you can do academics and then you can just get more academic based.
Yeah.
Again, you probably could do something similar in the other platforms.
Well, yeah, and Claude actually just rolled this thing out where you can say, hey, I want to learn about sailing. It will build in the chat an interactive web app. And so we'll have like an illustration of a sailboat in like slider, so you can like increase the speed of the wind and the direction of it, and it will show you this animation. So I think all these tools are getting into these niche markets of like education, learning, like using it to explore, which I think is great. I think that's great modeling, because that's what we want people to do, is use AI to learn, not just tell you the answer.
Agreed. So, so definitely, I think Perplexity right now, out of these, I think that a Copilot, I think, is something that people can feel good using, but maybe not the same results as the other.
Yeah, but there is something cool that Copilot's doing that no one else is doing yet. I think I just read today that Gemini's starting to do this, where they are rolling out agents to the general population. So they're making it easier to build an AI agent to do work on your behalf.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So I am excited about that.
So again, I think that's the one that could be a sleeper that, like, I know it took 50 years.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'll say, I mean, my opinion is, for me, it's not for anyone else. Like I think everyone's going to have their own views and experiences. And I really think that, like, don't listen to like Paul and I, we're just clowns. Like we have our favorites. Like, find a tool that works for you and your workflow. Like, if you work in Excel and you find Copilot is fantastic, use it. Don't let us sway your opinion. And this is true for technology in general. I use a Chromebook, which most people scoff at, but I love it because I love the experience on it. And you use a Mac because you love that experience, but that doesn't make one better than the other than the fact that Chromebooks are better than Macs. So
wait, what? Did he say something? What, you say something? Sorry, nope. So yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And so the other one, you mentioned Grok.
Yeah, so maybe we just round out talking about Meta and Grok real quick. Okay. So the Meta AI, I find there's this term in AI called temperature, and that's kind of how creative it can be. If you have a really low temperature, then it's very stringently going to give you kind of the same results. But if you increase that temperature, it will like think a little bit more outside the box. And I think Meta tends to be the most creative. And it also it's just so easy and fast to make videos and images with Meta. I typically don't use it for anything other than images and video. It's great for media. And then Grok, which is owned by X, which is owned by Elon Musk, is out there. And like I said, when we were looking at the LLM Arena, that it does perform very good. It doesn't get as much exposure, and it's been in the news for a lot of bad things lately. There was some white supremacist behavior that Grok was exhibiting. There was openly, like during the chats of X, which is Twitter, you could say, hey, take this person and put them in a bikini. So it was doing all these deep fakes, and some of the people were minors. So it was really troubling, and it took XAI like a long time to kind of fix that issue. It was almost as if they didn't care. And then there were some researchers who were looking at like how Grok renders a response, and they went through the reasoning. And for some politically charged conversations, one of the last final steps was like, before providing this response, check across all of Elon Musk's tweets about this topic. So it seemed like it was being the flavor of the text or the response was going to be a little bit skewed by Elon Musk's texts.
That's interesting. That's, and so as far as Meta goes, I agree. I think that the graphics are really nice, and you can really push the graphics aspects of it. I also want to mention that they also have the downloadable. They're one of the few platforms
Llama,
that you can download. It's called the Llama models, and you can run them locally.
Yeah. And
I think that's big. And then they don't have the credit. Did they have a limit, or did they add that limit?
I don't believe there's even a paid tier yet.
Yeah.
There might be for companies, but certainly not like us.
And regarding regarding Grok, I think that the catalyst of Grok was to not have guardrails necessarily, and just to let it be what it's going to be.
Yeah, free speech.
Yeah, I mean, in every regards, right? And I think that there's good and bad to that. And like you said, it could go down the wrong path too. And that sometimes it's important to have some level of guardrails, at least for age gates. So if you're going to do, age gating of content, age gating of prompts, and then obviously if they're doing it to minors.
Yeah,
that's a real big.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah.
And all of that aside, one thing Grok has done that I think it is really a race to be first to whatever, first to the people, first to companies. One of the things that they do that other companies haven't done yet, and I suspect they're going to follow suit, is Grok AI is built into Teslas. So when you're driving, with the press of a button, you can start having conversations with Grok. And like I do that when I'm driving with Gemini, but I have to have like the widget on my phone or open up Gemini and do this Gemini Live, but it's integrated right into it. So that's one thing that I really like about it. The other thing, and this might be, a double-edged sword, because it can train on data from Twitter and none of the other companies should be training on Twitter, it might have more up-to-date, relevant opinions. For better or for worse.
Right.
That being said, I don't use X, I don't use Twitter, and I don't use social media.
So I think that and Grok was one of the top 10 on some of these lists. So it's definitely, I don't know if it was for coding. Maybe it's really good for coding.
It's kind of peppered through all of them. So when you look at the different leaderboards, like Grok appears once or twice in probably in all of them. Like the text, I see it in the text. I see it in the where else do I see it? It's in the image edit. It's in the text to image. So it's up there.
And you can see with the text to image and image edit without constraints. Now what you're saying is that you can take copyrighted material and you can do different things to it.
Oh yeah,
versus
Grok doesn't care about copyrighted material.
Right, which I'm assuming is the reason why it's might be elevated a little bit more.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about
that. Because they have that freedom.
Yeah.
So, I haven't used it enough where I can really say much about it, but it is interesting that it's up there. And then, what about DeepSeek? DeepSeek. What do you think about that one?
There's other models out there, and DeepSeek is fine. One of the things I appreciate about DeepSeek is they've really, theoretically, and I don't think this has been proven, but this is what well established thought is that in the industry, they are doing some really innovative things to make the environmental impact a little bit, like they're training a lot leaner, and so it's not quite as bad. And they have they published a white paper a few months ago. I'll put it in the show notes, and it's like, here's the 3 things we're doing that make our training better, and they were good. They had good results.
And I believe when they came out, everyone, so it was OpenAI and a little bit of Gemini, and then DeepSeek came out, and they found a way to make an efficient. They cut the, I don't know if it was the training or the access or the mechanism in the training in half almost.
Well, yeah. So what they did, there were 2 of the things that I thought were really innovative, and other companies are starting to do this now, where they would not have everything trained in one model. They would have experts. So there might be a legal expert, so the general one would invoke these other ones as needed. But the other thing is, a token is kind of like a word. So when you type in a question, each word is a question, and it generally kind of ruminates over each token. And I think DeepSeek was like, you know what, we're going to ruminate over every 2 tokens. So they kind of cut that in half, and they found something like it went from 98% effective to like 96%. Those numbers are made up, but it was
right.
The amount of savings they had was just astronomical for a teeny tiny little hit in performance.
Yes. And so I think that started like a reevaluation of everybody's and so I think you need that level of competition sometimes. And this is a China-based?
Yeah, so much like TikTok, I am a little concerned about maybe the national security. Like, I don't know why we're not having conversations about DeepSeek, because we're sharing a lot more stuff with DeepSeek than we might be with, say, like TikTok.
Right.
But it's allegedly very, very, very good, and I agree with your assessment that they've really been pushing other companies to rethink how they're doing it. So that's a good thing.
And this is where it's kind of, you can actually run DeepSeek locally.
Yes, you can.
So, but I'm in the same premise as you. you would definitely need to maybe run another chatbot to look at its code to see if there are things that you might not be aware of.
There certainly are. So they've had researchers that looked at it, and if they could determine what country you were in or what nationality or what culture, they would return. This was found in, say, programming. Like if you're using it to program, it would return less safe, less secure code based on what your relationship was with China.
See, yeah,
and so it's not good.
Yeah, and I figure that I believe there's some connection with the government, so they have to have some mechanism that the government can control. Yeah, and so I wonder if there's code in there that.
I'm sure it's very censored. I'm sure if you looked at like Tiananmen Square and the data set, it would be very minimal.
Right. So, but I heard it's very good. It's very fast. It is, again, changed the mindset of how other LLMs are training or processing.
Yeah, which is good. That's a net positive. Although there has been some speculation that all of that stuff was faked and they use distillation, which is basically like taking the model from, say, ChatGPT and repackaging it. And I don't know if they ever were able to confirm that, but that was certainly one of the theories, is that it was a distilled version of other companies.
Interesting. And it could be.
Who knows?
So I think that one of the things that we really want you to take away from these outliers is that if they work for you, then they're the perfect fit for you.
Oh, that's so good. We should get that on a t-shirt. We're going to start selling swag.
Because I think that it's important to realize that if you live in the X world and Grok is what you like using, then that is perfect for you. If you are in a Microsoft environment and it's integrated exactly the way you want it to with no additional cost, then that's perfect for you. If you love Meta and you like the way it creates assets and images, then that's great for you. And if you like the more frontier models we talked about earlier, then use those. I think that whatever tool is best for you in the situation you're doing, then that's what you should be using. I know mine switch all the time. So, if I'm going to do something with video, I go to Flow now. I don't use Sora at all. I use Gemini. If I'm doing code, it's probably going to be Claude or it's going to be ChatGPT. And right now it's Codex because that's the one I have.
That's the ChatGPT one.
Yeah. So how about you? Any takeaways?
I agree 100% with what you said. I co-sign that unequivocally. I believe that whatever people find is best for them is best for them. I personally use Gemini as my daily driver when I need to do quick things or things that don't require a lot of thought. But whenever I'm doing deep work, I'll use Claude. So that's for instructional design and coding is usually where I'll lean it. And so I'll always have both of them open all day.
Yeah, and I do feel there's a tone associated with these. So like I think Claude has the nice tone to when it writes things. So since this is the last part of our series, I'm going to let you do your rankings, starting with your top. If you had to pick one that you couldn't live without. Claude. Wow.
No, it will be Gemini. Gemini, because I'm so entrenched in the Google ecosystem with Google Docs and everything. It would be Gemini, and Claude is a close second. I could get away without Claude, but I really love Claude.
Yeah.
And then ChatGPT, I'm almost ready to dump my subscription, and the rest of them I don't really use.
So, I'm in the same boat, but I would use Google because they have such a plethora of apps that like you're saying is working together. Like Stitch was like its own thing.
Sure.
And you can see how it's going to be integrated, and it's got Flow. It's got a lot of resources and things that I need that Claude doesn't have. But right now it's Gemini, and then it goes to ChatGPT, but I'm in your boat. I might be switching just to Claude because
I want to revisit this in like 6 weeks and see where you are if ChatGPT is still above Claude.
Yeah, well, the only reason why it's above Claude is just because I keep hitting limits. Yeah. And so I have a feeling I've been using, the more I use it, the more I'm like, I got to go back to this because I think it produces better code. I had the same prompt on both and
Claude,
and then I put it in Codex, and it created a I just wanted a cool little web-based animation that was like neon borders and neon graphics, right? And the output was much more visually pleasing on Claude than it was and it was more it was weird to say, but it's more technical and like it wasn't as visually pleasing in the codecs.
Yeah. And that, same exact thing. Oh, I co-sign that too.
Yeah. So I could see myself shifting. And again, this is what we're talking about, right? If whatever works for what you need or what you're doing.
Yeah. I might be a big Copilot fan the next time we talk.
There you go. And I still use Copilot. Copilot is number 4 for me, but I don't use Meta much. I was using Meta for a chat bot, which is easy to do in Meta.
Okay.
You could do I could upload all the information about a course, and it could create a
custom GPT.
Very fast. But now you could do that with just about every platform.
Gemini does it.
So. All right, well, that's all the time we have today. My name is Paul Engen.
And I'm Dave Gaddu. If you enjoyed the conversation today, please be sure to smash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
And share it with a friend.
Or enemy.
Oh, or enemy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We just spread the love, man. Let's be careful out there.
And share it with a friend or colleague. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and thanks for looking through the immersive lens with us.
This episode was engineered by Jeff Kidd and I think Hugh Laird.
Yes, I think it was Hugh, and I hear Jeff in there now. Recorded at Finger Lakes Community College Podcast Studios, located in beautiful Canandaigua, New York, in the heart of the Finger Lakes region, offering more than 55 degrees, certificates, micro-credentials, and workforce training programs.
Thank you to Public Relations and Communications, Marketing, and the FLX AI Hub.
Eager to delve into passion, discover exciting and immersive opportunities at flcc.edu.
How many W's?
Oh, see, I just took them out. I thought that
it actually would work. That's a safe bet. And new to the offerings is our AI integration specialist micro-credential. We'll have to put that in the show notes here.
Along with the vibe coding.
Yeah. As part of our mission at FLCC, we are committed to making education accessible, innovative, and aligned with the needs of both learners and employers.
The views expressed in this podcast are those of the host, guests, and do not necessarily reflect the official position of Finger Lakes Community College.
Music by Den from Pixabay.
This is The Immersive Lens.
Pew, 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 pew. Wow.
Woo!
Okay. That's...
Man, it's getting worse.
All right. And that's a wrap.
All right.